Hello. Apologies for the lengthy delay between videos. I've not been idle, but there were some delays that I've previously mentioned a bit, some family events and personal difficulties that have kept me away for a little bit, but I have still been working steadily on the project. It's more the focus of my work hasn't really been in a state that shows too well. And while it's still a ways from where I'd like it to be, I feel it's progressed far enough to give you all a look at what is coming down the pipeline. So, I would like to introduce the Epitaphs. These are going to be among the first overtly fantasy elements added, and I'd like to give a bit of an explanation as to what they are and why I'm introducing them. So, while the world of Following Seas aims to be pretty grounded in most ways, types of supernatural elements or magic do exist, and a big practitioner of these arts prior to the global collapse, at least, was the Caelean culture that has been mentioned in a number of previous videos. A cost of this to them is a struggle to maintain their population numbers for reasons that may become clearer later on. But ultimately, the effects of this were a somewhat distinct attitude towards death. Rather than practicing burial or burnings like the Imperial culture does, the bodies of some of the dead are ritualistically prepared and animated. They are draped in ribbons that bear texts telling of who they were in life, their families, and notable events from their life. Their purpose is to both act as a kind of walking memorial and to provide service in death to their descendants and their culture. Don't think of them like zombies or moldering, rotting corpses. They're really closer to mummies. They don't stink. They don't moan. They don't eat brains or anything. In gameplay terms, they're essentially robots that you can use to automate some of your ship's functions. With all that said, these are intended to be a first pass at a crew system that is going to be available to the player. I would like to eventually include fully varied human crew members, but being somewhat limited in my abilities as a character artist or animator, these are a simpler starting point, as well as I feel somewhat interesting from a world building perspective. Their capabilities right now are pretty limited, but are gradually expanding to more things. They're going to be controlled from a radial menu. For example, they can be told to man the pumps of a given ship, and they will continue doing that until you tell them to stop. Commands can be issued from the radial menu that was just shown, and currently allow for pumping, as you saw, as well as the ability to reef and unreef the sails. This is done through a percentage system and functions in much the same way. You can also queue orders. In this case, I've directed this crew member to unfurl the fore and mainsail and they will do both in sequence. So the aim of this is at the start just to be a means of simplifying player control over the ships. Later on, I plan as well to include an expansion to things like the anchor system. So you will be able to move the kedging anchor without needing to constantly run back to the windlass to move it yourself. So fine maneuvers in harbors should be a little bit easier. You will be able to have multiple Epitaphs on your ship. For practicality's sake, don't expect realistic crew numbers. You're not going to have 200 or 300 of them. But I expect the larger ships will have somewhere between 10 and 15 sort of slots available to them. Maybe a few more once weapons are introduced. And beyond that, there's been a number of moderate-sized back-end changes. The water particle system has been overhauled a fair degree. Like you can see with the bow splashes there. It should be a little more reliable appearing, especially in more varied lighting conditions. Lights or absence of light shouldn't result in really glowy particle systems or them being extremely visible below the surface of the water. And another change that might be clear from this view here is a pass to the global environment reflections. They should reflect the environment quite a bit better than before, and is a lot less prone to strange artifacts when you're layering things, or where certain objects would show through others in the reflection, and just general weird behavior. Clouds are also now reflected properly, and hopefully it all just looks a little bit better. And as you've seen in the background of some of these videos, progress on the Great Ship is continuing at a decent rate. It's more of a background filler project, as it's not one of the main priorities right now, but it will definitely be completed in time. So texturing is progressing fairly consistently. Most of the exterior is now textured, and some of the detailing is in progress. This is going to be probably the largest ship, though not guaranteed at this point, but definitely the largest for the time being. The cabin is under construction. We have crew bunks here. This will be the galley. The room in which you can do stuff. And the toilet, of course. Captain's cabin will be through here. And you'll have a nice deck on the back for fishing and staring at the enormous rudder. Definitely lots of work still to go on the interior. This will be the main gun deck. Or really the only gun deck. And below that, oops. You can tell I haven't got all the colliders in place yet. But there will be 2 full decks below the waterline of large cargo compartments, as well as the powder room. In practical terms, this ship is expected to have a absolutely vast cargo capacity, but it's going to be a slow ship that is difficult to maneuver and not particularly practical, but big stuff is fun. Next, I'm progressing on some more islands and landmarks. The first of these is Fishhook Bay. While not part of the Ashlands, this island is appearing to be dying. Plant life struggles to grow here, and it's kind of a rocky, unpleasant place, but what it is home to the ruins of an old fort and the single largest functioning mine in old Imperial waters. So this island has a smelter and a mine from which iron is produced, one of the main components in building ships of the Imperial tradition. In gameplay terms, this will function as a trading port, as well as mentioned, the main source of iron. People who remain on this island for more than a few days report vivid nightmares and the feeling of being watched. And it's said that the longer you remain on the island, the worse these feelings become. Next up, we have the Bells. This is a treacherous reef that was once the site of a major naval battle, and as such, the rocks and waters around it are filled with the wrecks of many ships. It's now home to a semi-permanent operation of salvagers who dive the waters using diving bells to salvage various items and goods from the waters, notably bronze cannons, as they are heavily valued due to them lasting much longer than the older Imperial iron cannons. In gameplay terms, this is going to be another trading port, but will eventually be the sort of spot where you can go to get cannons and other items for your ship's equipment. And with that, I wanted to thank everyone for watching. Apologies again for the lengthy delay. Hopefully things will be a little more consistent going forward. I would like to thank everyone who's donated on Patreon. And that goes out to Alla, Benjamin LaFay, Tyler Stone, Cameron Worthy, RG Locke, Nathan Hoy, XCal13, Boaty McBoatface, Odin the Wanderer, Hunaga Hoogs, Dan Harrison, and Impossible Package. Your contributions are very much appreciated, and I'll hopefully have a new video out in the near future.